Okay, today's daf is Shkalim Yudchet, Shkalim 18. The Mishnah on Yudchet Amid Aleph says, Harei alai eitzim liyivchot mishnei gzirin. Someone who is makabel upon himself to donate firewood to the Beis Hamikdash, he has to at least bring 2 logs of wood. Presumably, as the Mepharshim explained, this is referring to firewood used to burn a korban on top of. The Gemara on Yud Chamad Beis, the Gemara says, about 5 lines down, Rabbi Yossi Bei Rabbi Bun Amar Rabbi Ba Bar Marmol Bai Amar Harei Alai Eitz maybe Gizar Echad. He says another statement over here that if you say Harei Alai Eitz, the Mishnah says Harei Alai Eitzim in plural. If you say Harei Alai Eitz in singular, you're able to bring only 1 piece of wood. Now the question is that the Mishnah was teaching the minimum shiurim to bring. The Gemara says, the Mishnah says, Zav liyifchas midinar zav. If you donate gold, it has to be at least 1 coin of gold. So it's teaching the minimum. Why did the Mishnah teach the case also Harei Alai Eitz? It says Harei Alai Eitz and bring 2. Harei Alai Eitz, the minimum, you could actually bring 1 according to the Gemara. The Gemara continues on Yud Chamad Beis. Amar Rav Eliezer Masisa Amar Kain Zek Korban B'nei Atzma Zek Korban B'nei Atzma. The Gemara explains that really when you say Harei Alai Eitz, you bring 1 because each piece of wood is a korban b'nei atzmo. You can actually bring a korban. The firewood could actually be the korban. That could be the sacrifice, not just in order to aid the burning of an animal. The actual korban could be the firewood. Like it says in a Mishnah in Yuma, and Chavavam and Beis there, that it's counting the people who bring karbanos, who contribute to bring the korban tamid. It says 2 kohanim counts the amount of kohanim needed, so it says 2 of them bring 2 pieces of firewood. And the Gemara, the Brisa continues, korban l'rabo says eitzim. It says the word korban in a pasuk to tell you that firewood is also a korban. Now the question is, what is the explanation of this brisa? According to the Korban Ha'edah, this brisa is referring to, like the Gemara was talking about before, they were talking about bringing a donation of just firewood to burn the wood as a korban itself. The question is, why does the brisa say korban l'rabos ha'eitzim? It should say korban l'rabos ha'eitz. We just said that in order the minimum amount to bring for a korban of firewood itself is 1/8. Why does it say eitzim in plural? And second of all, the main question is, once we know that you can donate 1 log of wood or 2 logs of wood, and they could be used for either to be firewood for an animal or to be firewood for a korban itself, the korban is the wood. How do you know when a person says Harei Alai Eitzim what it's used for? Are we supposed to figure out what is it for? Is it for the firewood itself, or is it for to burn a korban, to burn an animal with? I want to suggest over here to answer these questions that a new explanation of this Mishnah in Yuma. When the Gemara said, the Mishnah is in Yuma, Kehad Haniya Taman Shnayim Biyadam Shnei Gizrei Eitzim. The way the Korban Ha'edah learns over here is that it's talking about 2 kohanim each had 1 piece of wood in their hand. I want to learn that no, it's talking about 2 kohanim each in their had 2 pieces of wood in their hands. So it was a total of 4 pieces of wood. And that's why before in the Brisa it says, Masisa Amar Shekain Shezek Korban B'nei Atzma Zek Korban B'nei Atzma. It's not saying that each piece of wood is its own korban, and we're talking about a korban of wood. We're talking about Zek Korban B'nei Atzma Zek Korban B'nei Atzma. The Brisa is telling you exactly this, that there's 2 types of korbanos. There's a korban of eitzim of wood, where you're just sacrificing the wood, and then there's a korban where you're using the wood to sacrifice an animal. And that's what the Bryce is. The Bryce is teaching us this. This is the kavan of the Bryce, and not like the Korban Eidah learns. This is teaching us the kavan of the Bryce is to teach you there's two types of korbanos, and that's why the Bryce includes korban l'rabos sa'itzim to tell you no, it's not the korban of firewood that you're just sacrificing the wood. No, korban l'rabos sa'itzim is to tell you, like it says in our Mishnah, that there's a donation of firewood for sacrificing an animal, and that has to be at least 2 branches of wood. If you're sacrificing just the wood itself, that could be 1 branch of wood. And therefore it would come out that it would be very understandable that when you say Harei Alai Eitz, like the Gemara says, that's referring to a korban of a singular piece of wood. And when you say Eitzim, we assume that you mean 2 pieces of wood, which is the firewood needed to provide ample fire to sacrifice an animal.